Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins in a dimly lit hallway. A mysterious agent, clad in a coat and hat, strolls purposefully with two briefcases. His destination lies beneath the building, where he discovers a concealed time bomb. Swiftly, he opens one of his briefcases, revealing a hidden gadget, and skillfully disarms the explosive device. As the agent focuses on his delicate task, an unexpected presence disrupts his concentration. Reacting swiftly, he draws a gun, searching for the intruder. In a sudden turn of events, the enemy catches him off guard, firing a shot that hits the agent. Despite the injury, the agent retaliates, but time is ticking, and the bomb threatens to detonate. Abandoning the confrontation, he places the bomb into the gadget, only for it to explode, leaving him scorched and in agony. Desperately reaching for his second briefcase, the burned agent is assisted by the mysterious figure who has been lurking in the shadows. A brief exchange of glances ensues before the stranger departs. The wounded agent inputs something into the case, before collapsing. In the aftermath, the agent, now covered in bandages, recuperates in a hospital bed. His superiors commend his efforts, but advise him to let go of his failed mission. However, the agent's determination intensifies upon learning that his elusive target is the notorious Fizzle bomber, planning a catastrophic attack in 1975. Unfazed by orders to move on, the agent resolves to stop the Fizzle bomber once and for all. After a period of rest, the doctor removes the bandages, revealing the agent's transformed face and altered vocal cords due to the injuries. Gazing into the mirror, he acknowledges and embraces the changes. 7 years pass, and the agent's face has fully healed. Armed with a voice recorder, he begins documenting his experiences, emphasizing the significance of his impending final mission. He elucidates its importance, and its role in bringing them closer to their ultimate goal. The agent, undeterred by his scars, is poised to deploy for the mission that will define his legacy. As he prepares for his final mission, his superiors issue him weapons and reiterate the strict rules, emphasizing that any deviation will result in death by lethal injection. Complying with the terms, the agent receives the case, and sets out for the mission ahead. In a city bar during the midnight hours, he adopts the guise of a bartender, covertly awaiting someone's arrival. A mysterious figure, donned in a coat and hat, enters and orders a drink. Engaging in conversation, the bartender subtly steers the discussion towards the Fizzle bomber. The exchange shifts to a surprising revelation. The person is a writer who crafts confession stories for a living. The bartender, familiar with the writer's work, shares his unexpected interest in the magazines. The writer, taken aback by the bartender's atypical demographic, dismisses the worth of his own stories. In response, the bartender admits to seeking insights into a woman's perspective from the writer's work, leading to a revelation. The writer discloses that he was once a girl, leaving the bartender intrigued. Before further questions could be asked, the writer began recounting his life story. Born on September 13, 1945, without parents, the newborn was left at an orphanage doorstep. The orphanage named her Jane. Growing up, Jane harbored a fascination with outer space, longing for the familial bonds enjoyed by other children. Unaware of the reasons behind her abandonment, her self-awareness and curiosity set her apart from her peers. Vowing to provide her future children with a real family, she immersed herself in learning to fight, and excelled in academics, particularly mathematics and science. Despite her strengths, she faced rejection and disdain from other children, ultimately leading her to harbor self-hatred. Recognizing her uniqueness as a barrier to adoption, she resigned herself to the belief that she would never be accepted as a daughter or a wife. Years later, she was on the verge of graduating when she met Mr. Robertson. He was searching for young women like Jane to join a government service organization called Space Corp, focusing on space travel. Robertson explained that they were interested in women excelling in mathematics and science with strong physical abilities. Intrigued, Jane accepted the invitation, applied, and successfully went through the interview. Space Corp conducted special training, including visual simulations of space. She thrived on the excitement, but some volunteers struggled. Endurance and written tests followed, where she excelled. Heartbeat sensing interviews revealed her contemplation about love, and her uneasy relationships with other volunteers. A fight ensued, resulting in Jane's disqualification. The doctor found something in Jane's body, but Robertson intervened, promising to help her return to the program. Despite his assurance, she had to find alternative means to make a living. She worked as a house helper during the day, and discovered confession story magazines, finding solace in reading them. At night, she attended school to improve her etiquette, and encountered a man on a rainy night, who quoted a saying about waiting and hustling. Jane fell in love, but the man left, and she moved on, hoping to rejoin Space Corporation. One day, Robertson visited and revealed that Space Corporation was a cover for a government agency seeking extraordinary individuals like Jane. These were people with exceptional abilities, no families, and no ties to the future. Jane didn't fully grasp the job's meaning, but believed it would change her life for the better. However, her optimism was shattered when she realized she was pregnant, and Robertson disappeared. She ended up in a charity ward with other pregnant women, feeling isolated despite the shared circumstances. One night, she found herself in pain on an operating table, with nurses and doctors ready to deliver her baby. The next morning, the doctor delivered both joy and shock. The cesarean was successful, and she had a healthy baby girl. However, the doctor revealed a surprising truth. Jane had both female and male reproductive organs, and due to complications, they had to perform a hysterectomy. They successfully reconstructed her, but she would need more surgeries. Devastated, Jane struggled to accept this new reality. Caring for her daughter, she faced heartbreak when the baby was kidnapped from the hospital nursery by an old man. Despite her efforts, the baby and the kidnapper were never found. Meanwhile, she underwent 3 major operations over 11 months, to transition into a man. She grappled with losing her identity, but eventually accepted his new self. Desperate to rejoin Space Corp, Jane faced rejection, prompting him to change his name, and move to New York. There, he found a career as the unmarried mother, writing confession stories. The bartender, intrigued, questions if Jane would kill the man responsible for his struggles. Jane, now known as John, expressed a willingness to do so. The bartender, claiming to work for Robertson, reveals John's current name, and convinces him to follow. In a cellar, the bartender unveils a field kit, claiming it is a time machine. John remains skeptical, until the agent instructs him to hold a case, close his eyes, and transports them both through time. In 1963, in Cleveland, Ohio, John receives cash and clothes for a mission. The agent hints that the man who ruined John's life might be the Fizzle Bomber. Promising a job if the man is killed, the agent leaves John to fulfill his mission. On a rainy night, the disguised John heads to the fateful hallway where the man is supposed to meet his past self. Suddenly, he collides with a girl, and instinctively looks away. The girl inquires if he's lost, and John, not recognizing her, replies that he's waiting for someone. To his surprise, the girl quotes, "Good things happen to those who wait," completing the puzzle for John. Turning around, he faces Jane, and is captivated by her beauty. Complimenting her sincerely, John remarks that someone should have already told her that. With a smile, Jane responds that he just did. Meanwhile, the agent observes the scene from a distance, before deciding to return to his failed mission. Spotting the Fizzle Bomber, he engages in a gunfight. The bomber dodges the initial shot, leading to a chase. In the dark basement, the agent searches for the bomber, who ambushes him, initiating a brief fistfight. Overpowered, the agent hears gunshots, prompting him to rise and head towards the bomb. There, he encounters his past self, moments before the face-burning incident. The agent assists his former self, and they share a brief, knowing gaze. The former agent time travels away, leaving the current agent to grasp the inevitability of his failure. Picking up a part of the bomb, he also time travels away. Jumping to 1964, the agent vents his frustration, cleans up, and reflects on the next part of his mission, while recording his thoughts. Back in 1963, John and Jane go for coffee. Jane, upfront about not being friendly, learns John's perspective. They connect over their shared feeling of superiority, and John's claim that he can read minds. Skeptical at first, Jane slowly falls for him, as he reveals truths about her struggles and thoughts on love. Sympathizing with Jane's experiences, John shares a deep conversation, that culminates in a passionate moment. In a hospital hallway, the agent encounters Robertson, handing him a piece of the bomb. Realizing the agent made an illegal jump, Robertson's presence signifies a potential reckoning. However, he tolerates this, saying that agents without regulations could save more lives. The agent hesitates about the next task, expressing concern that Jane will endure much pain because of what he's about to do. Robertson explains that the agent has to accomplish his mission, to preserve the existence of an agent created by a predestination paradox, a person with no ancestry or history, like John. Robertson reassures that he's doing the right thing, and leaves. The nurse exits the ward, and the agent proceeds to take Jane's baby. Taking the baby to his place, the agent prepares her for time travel. He inputs the date, September 13, 1945, and carefully takes the baby with him. Traveling back, the agent changes his clothes and places the baby on the orphanage doorstep, where it all began. Wishing the baby well, He calls her both John and Jane, then calls the orphanage to complete the cycle. Returning to Ohio in 1963, the agent observes John and Jane at the bench. John notices the agent and pulls out his gun, feeling deceived. Despite understanding John's pain, the agent explains the inevitability of everything. John, expressing genuine love for Jane, learns the truth about her past, and who she is meant to become. Accepting the unavoidable, John looks at Jane one last time, before the agent takes him to headquarters for recovery. Outside, the agent and Robertson discuss John's future, and the agency's strength gained from the Fizzle bomber. Robertson hands the agent new leads against the bomber and a timer, instructing him that after reaching his final destination, his field kit will be decommissioned. The agent acknowledges this, and they bid each other farewell. Leaving recorded messages behind beside John, the agent jumps to his final destination in New York in 1975, waiting for his kit to be decommissioned. Surprisingly, the kit fails, and Robertson's new lead reveals that he must continue to find the Fizzle bomber. Searching for a typewriter, John starts writing a novel, revealing himself as the agent. Connecting clues about the Fizzle bomber, John makes a horrible conclusion, and sets out with his gun. At the laundromat, John confronts an older version of himself as the Fizzle bomber. Disappointed, John refuses to become the bomber, and shoots him mercilessly, ending the cycle. The paradox continues in a repeating cycle, with all the personas being the same person born out of predestination. As the newly recruited agent John turns the next page of his predestined life, the decommissioned John makes his next predestined move. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.